Anthony here. Welcome to the first video on this channel, which I'm kind of going to call my junk channel because it's going to be about just topical stuff, movie reviews, and basically whatever I want to talk about. So, a hodgepodge of stuff. But today, the thing I want to talk about is New York City. Specifically, okay, so I'm from the New York area. I was living in the city for a while. I recently had to leave due to personal circumstances, but I would like to go back soon, um, whenever I can. And what's bothering me recently, though, is in certain circles, whenever New York City is mentioned, there seems to be a whole negative attitude towards the city, which I do not care for. I love the city. It definitely has its problems, and I'm going to talk about those problems at some point in this video. It's just, I think the way that they talk about the negativities of New York City is dishonest. So that's what this video is about. What is honest and what isn't honest about New York City. And starting with the fact that people are calling New York City unsafe lately. And any city is somewhat unsafe. The world is unsafe to some degree. But the picture that's being painted about New York City right now is that it's just this, like, you can't even step out of your apartment hellhole or some Black Isle Savio. That's what people are sort of putting forth. That is not true. Because it's a Mexican guy. No, that's not true either. But yeah, it's just it's not. The people there don't feel that it's unsafe. I don't feel unsafe. I see old ladies walking around at night, and they're not even clutching their pearls. They're walking around asking you to look at pictures of their grandkids. I mean, does that sound like an unsafe place for New York City to be? I also see people, we have very expensive items on us at all times, our phones, our wallets. Some people even have laptops or tablets. People regularly at cafes, bistros, they'll leave their laptop unattended and just walk to get their coffee or whatever and come back. If New York was truly a crime-ridden place, you would not see this, and you might be saying, well, that's just doesn't mean it's not an unsafe place, that just means they're being stupid. Well, I would see people being a lot more guarded as opposed to people doing that, which I see people doing that all the time, and I don't see people like, you're gonna take my laptop? Like, so it's not an accurate picture to say, like, New York is just riddled with the crime STD. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. My parents were watching Trump, and he's just like, New York, it's very unsafe. It's very unsafe now. You could get a bagel and choke on it. Like, and of course, Trump doesn't think New York's safe because, I mean, I could get that because there is like, I don't know what you call them, but police barriers made of stone, like around Trump Tower now. And before he was president, that wasn't the case. I used to be able to just walk through Trump Tower to get to the places I was going, and I used to just sometimes, if I had my Game Boy or whatever, I would just sort of sit there within Trump Tower in the lobby if it was like cold to like warm up a little bit. He can't do that anymore. So, I mean, there are definitely changes, but you know, so I want to go through some of the stuff that people have been saying about New York, tell you what's true, what's not. So for starters, there's this whole idea that New York City has been infested with the recent influx of illegal migrants, and that my parents my parents were asking me, "Oh my God, do you see all the migrants? Do you see all the migrants that are around? There's migrants everywhere." And the truth is, there's so many like Hispanic people in New York that it's just like you can't tell if there's an influx of migrants, to be honest. So, I mean, maybe there's a higher number that there were, since it's a sanctuary city, but It's not so much that like it was one vibe and then now it's a completely different thing within the last few months. That's just not accurate. I don't think. Maybe certain areas that I don't frequent, like I don't really. I mean, I do walk where the Roosevelt Hotel is sometimes, but I didn't notice any usually high volume of people just walking around. It's just, I mean, really, just pick a restaurant in New York, walk in a kitchen. You're gonna see people whose documentation is questionable. I mean, that's just how it is. Um, so yeah, I don't think that there's a massive migrant problem like you've been told. There's also, you know, safety concerns, particularly with the National Guard being placed in the subway. That's another thing my parents were harping me about. They were just like, "Oh my God, there's National Guard in the subway. Oh, what are you gonna do?" Uh, like for years, um, I mean, like I said, I'm from the suburbs, like New York area. When I would, when I was, um, when I have to use Grand Central to travel between the city and the suburbs, there was always camouflage wearing military in Grand Central Station, like going back at least 10 years. So, I mean, if I were to see National Guard in the subway, which I haven't, by the way, I mean, I don't take the subway every day, but I do take the subway occasionally. If I did see uniformed military in the subway, like, it wouldn't be anything that sets anything off. Like, do you know how do you know how boring things would have to get in the subway before like armed military would just like set off a little like ping in my head? Like that's nowhere near the weirdest thing you see on the subway every day. Um, so I mean, I guess they are doing that, but it's not everywhere. Um, I've also seen a story about how the mayor of New York was putting a robot in the subway to beef up security. I don't know in what ways specifically the robot would solve that problem, except I heard it has like a camera, so I guess it could identify people who commit crimes, although you have to actually prosecute those people if you if you catch them. But yeah, as soon as I heard about that robot, I was just like, I don't know what the people of New York are going to do first. Are they going to vandalize it or have sex with it? Um, but I have not seen that robot. I just heard about it. So that's another change. Um, what else about New York? Oh. So here's something I wanted to mention, like tangentially about the subway. So here's how the subway changed. There used to be you would ride the subway, and there's all types of like I guess we'll call them hustlers in the subways, like people asking for spare change, giving a speech. Sometimes there's like people who perform and swing around the poles or whatever. Um, you used to see like these uh these little I I'm not using the politically correct term, but you would see these little black kids and they would just have boxes of candy and they would just be like, "Please buy something from me, sir. I'm just trying to fund my basketball team. Would you please buy something, sir?" That would be like an occasional thing you would see on the subway. Probably, I don't know, once every 2 or 3 months. Uh, that I don't really see anymore. But what I do see now, and that the that previous thing was an occasional thing. This thing, it's like just about every time I ride the subway now. It's those black kids peddling the chocolates are gone. Now it's little Hispanic kids, probably about 5 or 6, and they go up to you with their box of candy and they go, "Chocolates," in such a way that like your fucking heart breaks. Like you don't want to say no to them. I mean, I haven't bought anything from them, but yeah, it's like a thing where you're just like, why is this happening right now? And it's always like a kid that's like probably like 6 to 10. They're pushing the chocolate, and then like they're by themselves a little bit, but then like far off, like following them is like a mother, the mother, and they have like a baby strapped to them. So like it's definitely like a calculated thing, and I get that people have to like make money some way. It's just I don't know. That just makes me feel very bad that they have to do it that way. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I guess we have to reform our economic system or something like that. But yeah, so that's what's going on in the subway. Um, as far as theft and other crime, there's not really a lot of theft. I've probably seen like one instance where like somebody was kind of like taking something from an electronic store, and the guard was like, "Hey, you gotta put that back," and like the guy's like, "Oh, I ain't doing nothing, I ain't doing," that sort of thing. But it's not like these shocking videos that you see where there's this like calculated, just mass effort swooping in and like stealing shit, and like the security guards like just are overwhelmed. I mean, I would say the truth about that is that guards are kind of told to not do anything, and they just, if somebody's stealing, like it's kind of just like, oh well, and then they deal with that after the fact. So that part is accurate, but it's not like people are afraid to shop there. That's sort of like the theme. It's like no citizens like aren't really living in fear of when leaving their apartments. There's crime, but it's not toward individuals. It's toward more stores and rich people. And the real danger is more just if all those stores fold up and move somewhere else and the criminals have nowhere to rob, then maybe people have to worry because then they're the only targets remaining. But for now, it's not people that are on the receiving end of the violent crime for the most part. Um, but they do they do have, like, stores are concerned about it, whether they've been hit or not. So you do go into the stores like a Rite Aid or a Dwayne Reed or whatever, and everything is behind cages, like that needs to be unlocked for you to get like anything now, just about. And it's really fucking frustrating when you see like Oreos and you're kind of gotta like get some guy to be like, hey, can you unlock this for me, please? And like they unlock it, and you're like, no, no, I want the one with SpongeBob on the package. Like it's just, I don't know. It feels very like I can't even get my fucking peanut butter without calling somebody over. Uh, and they're gonna replace that person with a robot soon, probably. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's not a lot of thefts. Um, and also the other thing that's supposedly happening now is people are just like punching people in the face for the fun of it. Supposedly an actor, Rick Moranis, got punched in the face just unexpectedly, which sucks because I really like him. Uh, and then one of the Real Housewives, Bethany Frankel, just claimed that she had that happen to her. Though, if you knew somebody was on the Real Housewives, wouldn't you unexpectedly punch them in the face too? I mean, I would. Um, so, yeah, that's probably like one of the things that I would say people realistically might have to worry about, because if a lot of people just look on their phones and aren't paying attention to their surroundings, and I don't get why you would do that in New York City or anywhere really. They'll walk instead of looking to see if a fucking car is coming. They're just like, oh, what happened to fucking Britney Spears in the conservatorship or something like that? Some bullshit. I don't know why you wouldn't pay attention, but I pay attention, so I'm particularly not worried about that. Maybe that's my privilege or whatever you want to say, but I don't know. I don't get why you wouldn't pay attention. um, but yeah, so those are the kind of lies about New York. Um, that doesn't mean that there aren't crappy things about New York City, because there are. So I'm going to tell you some stuff about New York that's actually crappy, so that if you are somebody that hates New York and wants to bash it, you can actually be honest about it. Um, So, first off, there's fucking trash everywhere. They do not pick up trash. Um, like, there could. I'm not saying people don't pick up dog shit because they usually do, but like, somebody somebody's dog took a crap and like they probably picked it up and but it left like a shit stain on the sidewalk and I walk it was during my daily path to work and that shit stain was there for at least a month. Like nobody even bothered to take a fucking hose and just wash that shit stain away. And that's New York. The trash cans are fucking overflowing and it's just a thing where like I don't get why we don't pick up the garbage. And that I've heard people say that because the migrants are coming and they're taking so much money to fund, it's a thing where like sanitation is going to be cut so that we can give the money to them. And I don't see how much further they can fucking cut sanitation, to be quite honest, because it's a fucking dump almost. It's ridiculous. So yeah, you also hear about New York, like in general, you hear like, "Oh, New York City smells like piss. New York smells like piss," and that's not true either. Like, the I mean, I've definitely seen people taking a piss in public, and a lot of times they'll just like meet, make eye contact and wink at you, but it's not as far as like it's smelling like as far as the odor of piss just being everywhere, that's just not accurate. So it's not like your nostrils are assaulted with the smell of piss just from walking around New York City. Um, so that's another falsity, fallacy, whatever the word is. Um, and while we're on the topic, I know I said I'm not scared walking around in New York City. Um, it's not, I'm not saying I'm never scared because there are times, particularly when I'm going towards the subway or just walking around, where there'll be a homeless person that's acting in a way that's not within societal norms, and you're just kind of like, somebody get this motherfucker away from me, please. I just want to go on my subway car, and hopefully he gets on a fucking different one, because I don't want to be around this motherfucker. Um, so, yeah, that's because they don't really give them the help they need. A lot of these people are supposed to be getting the help from a therapist in an institution, and New York City doesn't do that. They just let their dangerous people roam free. So that's something that needs to change. Um, I don't know where we would get the funding for it, but I just know it's a problem. And, um, just realize though that crazy people, it's you can say that New York is overrun with crazies because the population density is such that you see them a lot. Because the reality is there's lots of crazy people in the suburb too, doing crazy things. There's it puts the lotion on its skin. Like that's a suburb thing. There's crazy people there. So to kind of say that New York City is overrun with crazy people, I mean that's somewhat fair, somewhat isn't. You gotta realize that. Um, and what else? Yeah, and I guess the other major problem that's fucking annoying about New York is it's just way too damn expensive. If you have, I mean, any city, and just about any other city except maybe San Francisco, like, you are admittedly getting more of it for your money, space-wise, like, probably, I don't know what it is with inflation now, but you could probably pay like 2,000, 3,000 in New York City for an apartment in another city that would only cost you like 1,400. In New York, if you have a fucking goldfish, the castle that they're living in costs $100 for them every month. So, yeah, it's it's a problem. Is what I'm saying. I don't get why. I'm not an economist, but I don't get why rents just wouldn't get lowered, and you would just want people to fill your apartments instead of just not having anybody able to afford the apartments and leaving the apartments vacant. But I don't know, maybe there's some logic behind it. Um, there was some reporting during COVID that like, oh, all the apartments in New York are vacant and landlords are desperate to fill them. Well, I mean, if that was fucking true, then it's fucking not true anymore because rent's only gone up since the pandemic, and it's a bunch of bullshit if you ask me. So that I think you can definitely trash New York for that. It's totally a valid opinion. Um, oh, I meant to put these pictures of the guys up in the subway, but now I'm going to put this picture up. So, the former mayor of New York City is this guy right here, Warren Wilhelm, who goes by the name Bill de Blasio. And the current mayor is this guy here, Eric Adams. So, yeah, what did I want to say about him? So, Bill de Blasio, his whole thing was addressing income equality. Um, he let's put it this way. I think hate is a completely disgusting emotion. Uh, it has no place, and I do my best to never hate any individual. There's only 3 people in the world that I would say I hate, and one of them is Bill de Blasio. I don't hate Eric Adams, even though I don't think he's doing a great job, but I don't hate him. I think he needs to step up his campaign promise. So basically, Bill de Blasio, he would like promise to address income equality. He never really did. He would make rules like, oh, he would like vocalize like bashing the police, but then he would just do things like, oh, if you're going to protest the police, well, there needs to be a curfew for everybody because people are protesting police. Like he would just like he's very like politician-y. And so yeah, that's why I hate Bill de Blasio. And pretty much everybody hated Bill de Blasio that was a New Yorker. And that just kind of exposes the flaws in our political system where somebody that unpopular gets reelected. And he only got like more fucked up. He only got worse like after he got reelected. Like he closed all the restaurants and the gyms and like did nothing to help them. Like it's just I don't want to get on him because he's just shit. But anyway, so the reason I'm making this video, like the particular comment that I been hating seeing written online is just when people see all the crime in New York, I've seen people write, well, you voted for this. Okay, so Eric Adams, his whole thing when he was running was anti-crime. Like, I personally wanted Andrew Yang to win because I thought he had the best political plan, but like Eric Adams, he was just like, crime is a problem, I will do something about it. Crime, it's bad, I used to be a police officer, I have the experience, I will do something about the crime. So when people say, and he got voted in, so when people say to New Yorkers, you voted for these policies, we literally fucking didn't. We literally fucking didn't. The guy said he was going to do something about it. And if you're being like, oh, well, of course he's not going to do something. Well, I mean, does everybody, do you know for certain every politician is going to do exactly what they say? No, most politicians don't do shit that they're going to say. You just pretty much vote for the guy that says they're going to do the things that you want to happen. So that's how Eric Adams got elected, and to act like New Yorkers wanted some sort of hellscape where people are committing crimes and I don't know, it's very disingenuous. It's not or not disingenuous, but it's not accurate to the situation at least. And also, even if somebody did think that a candidate plan was detailed and they voted for that plan and it just didn't work out. Like, that's a shitty thing to think that people just actively want their neighborhood to be terrorized. Those are just the very weird outliers that are pro chaos. So that's just the fucking annoying thing about it. It's like just mentioning New York to people who have prejudices against the city. It just like sets them off. Like, I don't know. It's just, you got to realize you can't be that way. It's just, there's, you know, most of the people that are expressing that opinion hate the media, and they know the media lies. So if you know the media lies, why are you just believing this lie? Why are you believing the lies about New York? Just because you don't like New York or you don't like some other entity doesn't mean the bad things you hear about them are automatically true. It's, and if you're hearing it from a liar, you got to take that into consideration. Hey, this motherfucker lies. Maybe I shouldn't believe them. So, I don't know. When it comes to politics, the truth about New York is it's kind of like if somebody was to I mean there's definitely people prefer liberal policies and they prefer to vote that way. And if hopefully you're mature enough to realize that just because somebody votes a certain way, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or whatever, that doesn't make them a bad person, and that doesn't necessarily reflect all the beliefs in their heart. They might be very conflicted. Uh, if I was to describe the people in New York, they definitely lean left, and a lot of them hold that label as being liberal as something that they want to uphold. Like, if they ever had to like vote for a Republican, the reaction would be the same if like I don't know, they had to like shoot their own dog or something. They'd be like, "All right, it's over. I finally did it," like that sort of thing. But I mean, there are people that would vote Republican or are open to Republican candidates. Like Rudy Giuliani was elected mayor as a Republican in the 90s. And I know that's a long time ago to some people, but New Yorkers are, for the most part, realists. It's it's really people from your cities, and they come to New York, and those are the shitty, just stubborn people because they come to New York hearing that it's more tolerant and progressive, and they're the ones that sort of like swing the vote. Most people in New York can like see a politician and be unbiased about them and go like, yeah, that guy's an asshole, even if they're a Democrat, and they might vote for a Republican that had decent policies. Well, that one might not be true. I feel like they would be hesitant for whatever reason. That R next to somebody's name is very just toxic to them, just like the D next to somebody's name is toxic in other parts of the country. But I would say most New Yorkers are just common sense, ordinary people that have a preference. I would say that the way that biases manifest themselves in New York is sort of like the way that they do within the rest of the country, whereas like, okay, we see all these woke movies and media failing because your average everyday person just doesn't want any of that in this day and age. I would say that's a similar vibe to the people in New York, where it's just they're kind of normal, but it's only the institutions like that are taken over by the people that are making all these loony changes. Like, so in America, the movie going audience is normal, and it's the institutions of Hollywood that are kind of just not reflective of their beliefs. In New York, it's like most people are normal, but the institutions also are the ones that are just the craziest with their political beliefs, which sucks. Like I used to love going to a bookstore. I just it was one of my favorite things to do. Just go in and not even really buy books, just walk around looking at all the books that I could buy possibly, and if I wanted to read something, I would buy it. Um, I don't like that anymore because it's like you go into a bookstore now and just the people in charge are just like these progressive people that want to push their beliefs on you. You go in and there's just these woke books that just want to just like everything's organized in its own just proper spaces, but they also have the tables that are designed when you walk in the store. You're supposed to look at like these are the current topical books or the important books, and you see books like these when you walk into the store. And I recently walked into a bookstore where I am now, and it's completely different from New York. It's just like these are just fucking regular books, and nobody's trying to like push any belief on me. I can just go in. The people who want these books, they can just go find them in the store, presumably somewhere else. But it's not like, here, these are the books that you have to read if you want to be a good person. There you go. So that's how uh, politics manifests itself in New York. It's not just automatically, if you live in New York, you vote a certain way and you believe certain things. That's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. It's not true. So, um, so I do love New York City. I would like to go back. I wouldn't probably raise a family there. I would probably go back to the suburbs if that was something that I was doing. I wouldn't say other people should go there because it's definitely an acquired taste. It's something that you have to love. It's just it gives me personally a feeling that I don't get anywhere else. So that's why I like to be there and want to be back. It makes me feel happy and good, even despite the fact that if you're walking around, you're just like pissed off all the time because people suck and you're around people all the time. But for whatever reason, the high feeling I get from New York City very much outweighs the crap that it comes with. So that's why I love New York. And I know I sound like somebody that's just like, you just gotta know him. I love him for who he is. You just gotta know him. But like, I mean, I don't know. I love the city. So it it definitely isn't for everyone. I just want to say that. So I can get why you wouldn't like it, but please just be a little more conscious of that sort of stuff. Don't bash New York just because you have some weird perception of the people there. It might not even be true. Just like people in more rural areas aren't all like hicks that raise chickens and I don't know, just spit on people who are different. I mean, you wouldn't want people saying that about you, so maybe keep an open mind about other people from other cities. Um, and I have to remind myself that too. Like I sort of buy into the hype about Los Angeles. I've never been to Los Angeles, but you see those pictures of people in tents, and you're just like, oh fuck, like well, LA is really a shithole. But maybe that's just one area, and somebody's just trying to make me feel a certain way about Los Angeles or San Francisco or Portland or more conservative cities like Dallas or something. I don't know. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I'm still not totally comfortable in front of the camera, as you can see, or I don't really have my thoughts together. Maybe I have to figure out another way to deal with this to make videos and be comfortable. But yeah, if you stuck around for the whole video, thank you so much. It means a lot considering this is the first video that's going to go on the channel. So please like my videos, subscribe to my channels. I have more than one. And leave a comment if it's going to be respectful. Don't be a dick to me or anybody else in the comment section. And with that, I will say thank you very much, and hopefully you'll come back soon.